serial entrepreneurs. We do what we kill and have for many decades, actually. I was approached a year or two ago by somebody on the Kloppenburg of the Netherlands who had a solar installation company, but he wanted to play in this space, and he wanted some ideas. I was quite taken with our speedster, but thought that a speedster for the water would be most appropriate in a town where the streets are made of water. And suggested this to him. Since about 46% of our viewership is actually in Europe, outside the United States. And we were getting a lot of inquiries about parts in Europe, the shipping being awkward and stupid, the currencies being awkward and stupid, and some things like value-added tax, which I didn't even know what they were, that I didn't understand. And so eventually, a little bit at a time, we just basically transferred all of that to Anna in the Netherlands. And if we get an inquiry from Europe about a product, I typically just forward it to him, and I'm not sure what he does with it. And then 4 or 5 times a year, he sends me a spreadsheet, and I hand it to somebody, and they make up this big box of stuff that magically disappears through the auspices of Vanguard Logistics, who are supposed to be delivering my red boat and have failed rather miserably so far. They've had a terrible, no problem getting it from the Netherlands to Chicago, but from Chicago to Cape Girardeau is apparently impossible. I dump it on the river, we'll snag it as it goes by. Anyway, Anna takes direction particularly well, and when I would say something, he'd make a note and go after it with impressive energy and enthusiasm. And so far it seems to be working out for him pretty well. I'm not sure they don't do more parts now than we do in some ways, certainly in some areas. Meanwhile, he did a glass rod and then a Ned Craft, a very beautiful boat, and has kind of brought home the little red speedster on the water concept, and now is attacking cabin cruisers. So in just a couple of years, he's knocked out 4 or 5 boats and become the largest EV component supplier in Europe. And we're very proud of him. It's been a kind of a partnership relationship that I've taken some joy in, and he actually is even along the way kind of learned to do video and send those in on time. And I've had several people explain to me that the reason for our 99.4% male viewership is that we're not popular with the ladies unless Anna or Kevin come on the screen. And then they stop the waters. And so I'd like to, he's going to talk a little bit about his boating adventures. We're going to continue kind of today's boat theme, and would you all please give a warm welcome. Anna Kloppenburg, Amsterdam.
Well, hey, EVTV, here we are. It's Anna Kloppenburg with your yearly EVCON EVTV Amsterdam update. How are you guys doing today? Great. Well, I'm really excited to be back here. We've had crazy whirlwind of a year, and you've mostly all been privy to it in 10 or 15 minute segments every week. And for the last 4 years or so, every year at the end of the year, come New Year's Day, I think, well, I don't know how I survived this year, but for God's sakes, I'm glad that next year will be a little quieter. And then next year just completely blows last year out of the water. And so it's been this last year, coming from EVCON 2013 to EVCON 2014, to be standing here and to be going through everything that happened this year and figuring out what am I going to put together and show you guys. I'm there doing it, but it's been kind of ridiculous for it all happening. I have bit of my impromptu way of setting it up. I have a couple of folders that I can go through, and the pictures will kind of tell me where I am. Start with a couple of the builds we've done and introduce kind of what EVTV-Amsterdam and New Electric is about. And I'll tell you a little bit about our shop news, some of the drivetrain innovations is a big word, but some of the drivetrain componentry and things we've been working on to have a more complete package of services. And then finally we'll talk about the new, not here yet, boat that I did actually have built and should be hopefully given to Jack by today or tomorrow. One thing that I kind of popped in here real quick after I heard the HPDS talk, this was the very first little data point that I made on our Glastron. Just turn off slide share for a sec. And turn off. We'll go back to this. And definitely very much the same kind of curves as HPDS was talking about. So with our stern drive setup and a DC motor about 4 years ago, we noticed that we could do canal speeds 5 or 8 kilometers an hour at 1.2 to 4 kilowatts with a 30 kilowatt hour pack that you do in the middle of the day. Then trying to come up towards 11 kilometers an hour, not adding even 3 kilometers an hour, you're already going at 4 times the amount of energy, water being so sticky, and trying to get something heavy to go out of it is difficult. At 3,250 RPMs, we were shooting out and landing on plane, and then we were doing 41 kilowatt hour draw, 35 kilometers an hour, let's call it 26, 27 mile an hour. And at that time, the top speed for us was about 47 kilometers an hour, and it was 86 kilowatt hour. And yes, that would drain the pack in less than 20 minutes. So very much the same curvature of behavior that you guys are seeing with the outdoors now. But I was so psyched because there's more people in the game doing this all. And since I'm better at water skiing videos than I am at data logging, so thanks for taking my ass to Jack and giving me a couple of weeks to do a nice side-by-side comparison, which I will promise to deliver. On to the presentation. What is New Electric? What is the EVTV-Amsterdam about? We have some builds that I'll show you, but actually put together a tiny little video that, to my mind, explains perfectly why I'm here today. Want to build an electric speedboat? I think you're pretty much looking at the reason. My wife and I heard we were expecting about 2.5 years ago now. You start thinking about some of the best stuff of your childhood, and for me, being out in that fast boat was definitely one of the highlights, always was. And you want to go check it out then? Yeah? So fast now? Want to go fast? This is 2010 when we just got the water. Today? We're trying to get them in early, and of course he's grown up a bit now. This has been in the Joni when he's 4 years old a month ago, and I'm lucky enough I get to bring my wife and little Joybo out with us as well. So just to let you guys know, it's an intense personal journey for how do I want to live my life with me and my family with a spin-off business opportunity that's kind of running out of control here. But that's where we're coming from. So, like Jack said, we started with a Glastron build, 1974 stern drive. It had a 120 horsepower engine, and to me that seems about the limit of power that I can, feasibly put back into a system and give you some kind of range without completely bogging down with weight of batteries. But actually after this, we kept going towards boats that have more efficient, hull shape, less total weight, and that the use case of the boat is that you like it to go fast, but you're actually puttering about most of the time, because that use case, we can make people really happy instead of making them feel gimmicks for range. So that boat had the original DC and Soliton setup. That was our go-to at the time. Then soon after, we were lucky enough to find this amazing craft at the time called the Nedcraft Silverback, and we will have opportunity about a year from now to maybe start offering this as a complete reproduction as well. That's off on the horizon for now. The same system from the glass drum went in, but with an updated battery set, and with all our new experience from the glass drum, we had better, contactor boxes, better cooling. Just over iterations, you need to do stuff a couple of times before you start figuring out where the pain points are. Then close after the Silverback came the original Delta, the Ray Wright Delta 1966. This was a still taken last September with Kevin, and Hiska is her name, as asked many times, who is she? And she came out for the day, and we made that commercial. That Jack is so great to run every week, and let Phil know that we're not making boats cleaner, we're making it better. And it really is the case. This was the original drivetrain setup with our AC35x2. The very first one Jack received, and I was able to wheel out from under him so that I could pursue this project. At that time, still flipped around with the direct drive setup and a much too small shaft and prop, which netted me the dearly affectionate term of the electric banjo rider, giving fish headaches wherever we go. And this is a quick close-up of the flipped around motor with a belt drive system that I'll talk about in more detail just after. And then now, of course, we are on to the cabin cruiser, the Jogi, which had 22 horsepower Yanmar that came out. But in the front, you also see a little old Alumacraft, which I got because my grandfather in New Jersey long passed away, but when I was young, he taught me how to fish for fluke and flounder in one of these boats. And I found it actually has now an electric outboard with a gold motor in there. And my battery in a box, the beer cooler battery, as Jack has dubbed it. More on that later as well. And I had one Soul Junior and one Warp that nobody seems to want to love at the moment, but I knew it would be perfect for this setup. And as I had to, this is my private boat, so I had to make sure that we could afford doing it. And this was the best setup of doing it that way. So these are our builds, and showing them off and sharing it with people on the YouTubes has been our entry point into meeting you all and finding those of like mind, and maybe all together getting to the point where we can now make it less of a science project, more of a commodity product for those that want to go out on the water and enjoy themselves. Well, where do we build this stuff? We have a tiny little shop in Amsterdam. And so we are located in Amsterdam. Here's Amsterdam City proper. Like Jack said, our roadways are basically waterways. There's little roads to each side of every canal. They're only as wide as that historically a horse and cart needed to be. So you actually have much more space and room to breathe and actually look at beautiful buildings when you're on the water than when you're walking along the streets. I've lived in the east side of Amsterdam since my mom moved there in 1986, so I've always been an east side boy, and we have our shop there at the east side. But right now, every morning starts with a long session of musical chairs trying to get one or two builds out so we can get the third build front and center and work on it, and then try and not paint on some customers' very expensive car. Basically, it's meant that if we want to go anywhere going forward, we will need to expand. We will need to have some space, and so we can bring in more builds, but also more people doing them. Well, Jack's also often already said that for a small company to move, it's kind of like having a cardiac arrest. You're more likely to die than grow on. But we were so lucky to find a place, not 500 meters, but about a kilometer up the same waterway where we are on. And we actually found that place because we were looking for access to large equipment that we couldn't afford ourselves nor have space to actually install, but we didn't want to be farming out little jobs like metalworking and woodworking that we could be doing ourselves and keeping some of that labor costs in-house. So they'll open about a Veriplatz. They offer this. Veriplatz is a working spot. You can see from their website, which I just checked out, they have an English version, so I was very excited. Anyone can DIY like a pro, and I think that kind of also resonates with this crowd. They have this idea that in a modern economy, there's going to be a lot more individually employed people that don't have the big factory floor, don't have the big equipment. But if they have that and rent it out and they certify people on each different machine that you're allowed to work on, then they have a business model, and small-scale entrepreneurs can be serving their customers with much higher quality stuff. So we already wanted to be members there, so we had access, but we were also kind of asked, like, well, you guys have a little more space than we do. Are you interested in what we're doing? And it turned out to be a match made in heaven. They love that we're adding on experience with new electric componentry and automotive and boats, making them electric. And so what they said is we have this old corner of our lot that has a water slide that actually boats are allowed there. They're going to make a nice little jetty for us there. This is the neighbors have a big crane, so if I've checked out a boat that we are going to do for customers, then we can pull it out, put it on a trailer, run it around, bring it in. They needed to, a few trees will go down for a good cause, but they're gone. And inside they already had some of the stuff that we are looking for, so we got a car lift that we were given this, and then for about €1,000 you'll have it refurbished and reinstalled with certification that it's safe and that kind of thing. And to the left you see there's a certain vehicle under there. It turned out it is a 12-cylinder XJS Jaguar, Raymond's absolute favorite car ever, and we are talking to the owners who will now be my landlord about doing a nice conversion project of that. Yeah, so that's shop news, and we will be moving this October, and trying to make sure that we don't have a organizational cardiac arrest doing so, but we'll actually be finally able to scale up a little bit and bring in new blood to the mix and show people how to do this. So that's shop news. The pace at which the quality of the EVCP components has gone in the last couple of years is just amazing, and it's been such a pleasure to be able to serve the European viewers with this increasing breadth of items and increasing quality of individual items. At the same time, I've noticed that I have a comfort level in serving the nerds that have found us through the network, but that I've been hesitant to try and instill the same excitement in some of the commercial operators that have come to us, because I felt that at a total package, especially for our geographical area, I wasn't quite there yet. That meant that we had the components, but for the drivetrain side, you need to be able to package that with all the mechanical stuff for mounting and linking to drivetrains and or props. And you need to have personal in-house experience, not only with where do you source these things, but what works, what doesn't work, what can I give how many years warranty on. And then at the far end of the componentry also becomes the certification issues that we especially deal with in Europe. And I knew that we weren't ready to do that yet. So this last year really has been one where I'm very, very happy to serve the nerds, but I've been keeping it under wraps, what kind of products we want to serve to a broader community, because I felt we weren't ready yet. And we've done a lot of work on drivetrain components, that's for mechanical linkage and certification, so we're going to go into that now. First, just let me see what we're all talking about. I'm sure you guys. That's 0 to 60 kilometers in under 2 seconds with the new drivetrain setup. biggest, it's all about the belt and putting in a larger shaft. It's all about these guys. Okay, this is yours. This part is here. Having one of these, this is a 12-inch by 16 pitch. Original boat had a 9 by 15. Basically, that was really good to make whipped cream at 6,000 RPMs, but it didn't really push it away. This has the grip in the water. But we couldn't have ever fit it under the boat if we didn't flip the motor, put the shaft through a new spot, and end up at a deeper point, where you also have better water flow, which is another big part of how you get that grip with these guys. So that's in the original Delta. Here you see the design drawings that were made by the same man who's also built the new Delta and how it came out. Here's a nice show. So at the front we have pulley wheel mounted, going from 1 to 2 reduction. At the bottom, the shaft coming out from the boat goes under it. Here we have the first design drawings of the Delta, and now we're getting into the Delta stuff. I'll show you more of the drivetrain in just a bit. So we wanted to make a new Delta, but we had one that the company's been out of business for quite a while. So we started with the dimensions of the original, and I teamed up with a very experienced naval designer. And we talked about which slight incremental changes to make to bring some of the dimensions up to a more modern size. I fit perfectly in the original Delta because if you're in 1960s England, I'm a full-size guy. But as we can see around here, times have changed, and my diminutive form is not as representative of everybody who would want to get into a Delta. So the new one actually has ample space to get in and out of, and it should also perform a little better and have better load carrying capacity, allowing us to increase the battery amounts. Here we see a blow-up of what they call the nesting files. Everything's made out of aluminum, so everything has a digital dimensions, and then a program kind of configures, well, if these are your aluminum strips, how do you cut that all out to keep it down to the most effective use of material. From the nesting files, you go to the cutting tables, and they all, it's all water jetted. You end up with a pile of componentry. And then you have to start putting it together, and it needs artisan level welding to be able to do 2 and 3 millimeter aluminum. You can't hide anywhere. Make one mistake, that's it. Plus, you've got to really manage your heat on the sizes like this, or you're going to distort everything that you've done previously. But here you see coming in together. I'll go through this a little faster because we have to put it on the video that's out there to see. This way you see the boat coming together. There's definitely some bondo and sanding there at the end. Here the shape starts emerging. And you see sharp lines, and you can shave on that edge there. And we definitely also beefed up some of the parts that we've had to change on the original to now be standard. So a larger shaft throughput, a larger holder. Interior, we're kind of measuring out the dimensions Jack was giving me from the cam cells to make sure they'll be fitting. This is the part that you didn't see on the drivetrain before. So the bottom plate, actually the shaft comes in through the first bearing, which is really there to add to the second one, so that when you're putting power on that bottom wheel, the shaft doesn't start vibrating too much. That second bearing is actually a double road bearing that takes all the drukklager. What do we call that again? Pressure bearing? Thrust. There we go. That's the one. So it takes away all the thrust. The other one does the stabilizing. For our rear motor hatch, it turns out the original Delta actually used hinges off the Morris Minor. Jack, your new car, what's that called? So I do not know the car, but man, do I recognize those hinges. I know where they were made. And so here's new Delta coming out of the paint booth, all shiny. And And there you see small details being installed. Then we wrapped her up like the present that she is meant to be. And this was at 2 in the morning. We happened to be at Rotterdam to get it in the damn boat. We were French by 5 of that morning. And, you know, I beat myself to death getting it to where it should have been here. And Vanguard going with the lowest bidder from Chicago to here. What can you say? So that's been the absolute amazing run of building a new Delta. I should have actually started before I go on to that. I was actually going to start us on the drivetrain stuff, so excuse my. So before we'll end up back at the Delta. But before I was saying that I wasn't quite comfortable yet offering our complete drivetrain packages to commercial operators or other people that might actually start taking things in volumes and not ones and twosies, because I felt that we weren't ready yet to offer service support on the mechanical drivetrain components and on the certification. So let me put this guy. I'm going to give it time. So here's a relatively recent picture showing to me what our development has been this year, is that we can now offer different motors for different applications with an in-house setup that'll hook up to whatever your vehicle's going to be. So at the far left, we have, here is the warp DC motor, but it has the same shaft next, so anything with a B face in the right shaft can go into this setup. The bolt pattern that you end up with motor mounts is the standard for European diesels up to 80 horsepower, so all the Yanmars, all the Renault blocks that we have out there. I can basically stick in just about any motor, and I know that we can mount it within the original motor, and this is going to the green reverse system, the Earth. This one actually is a mechanical reverse, so I don't need to have continual RPM for it to engage forward or reverse. It might not be the most efficient, but it's going to be used at very low power levels generally, so you're losing 10% on a small number. That's not too bad. Then to the right are two Siemens motors. And we've kind of presented this one of the EVTV episodes recently, where we do take apart the motor and adapt the rotor so that we can then fit this, what we call a puck, and put the bolt pattern for just about any flywheel on there. Paulo from Portugal has advised me he'd be interested to see if this puck can actually be still pressed back just by the pressure of the clutch, and maybe run into the face of the motor. And maybe we should, if that could be the case, maybe we should change the way we machine it slightly so that it can only push against the rotor and not against the motor face. Well, you have to put stuff out there in the real world to see how it works. Here you see it coming up, and you see how that fits in really nicely to, in this case, a 4-1 transmission that's standard on the CJ5 Jeeps. Just a quick update why Ray's not here. Next week we have the first preliminary road testing on this vehicle, and this is how I left it when I went, and Ray's been doing this, and that, and that, and then this morning I got the pictures of the DMOX mounted in there. So Ray's working his ass off so that we can reach our commitments to our customers, and I wasn't able to bring them here, but both Ray and Kevin say hi, and they would have loved to be here. I'm going to drag their asses over next year. So that's on the automotive side. I've been talking a little bit about the belts and the phenomenal increase in performance in the Delta. We went from 40 kilowatt draw from the battery for 40 kilometers an hour to 22 kilowatt draw from the battery for 40 kilowatt hours. And, it's really hard to pin down performance figures in waters to the nearest 5 or 10% because between current, wind, temperature, there's so much going on. It's really hard to read these figures a second time. But almost 50% increase, it's really hard to deny the efficiency increase. For the marine reverse systems, what we use is we take the damper plate off of any, the spring disc off of the damper plate of any flywheel, and we adapt that to the standard, 1¼ inch, or is it 1/8? From given US sizes. So we can use this with any of the HPVS motors and be able to adapt to our standard Earth setup This was with the DC and the Silverback. This was when you're adapting to a Volvo Penta stern drive, which is slightly different than the Mercruiser Alphas, but more or less the same system. This is how we were making the drawings for the new Delta, and how you see that first the bottom plate has the shaft come in, all the thrust has already been taken off, and you just need to mount the wheels, and you make a top plate to adapt to your motor size and to leave enough room so that you can tighten the belt. And that's basically the whole system. We've done this as a 2-to-1 ratio. 2-to-1 is really pretty good if you're trying to reproduce gas power performance, because then you're using the kind of prop. This prop will do its best work at around 2,500 RPMs. With a 2-to-1, it gives me about 5,000 on the motor, which is also the minimum entry point I needed to keep the AC35x2 happy, moving enough air through it at the power levels I'm requesting at that RPM. But for diesels, we got to go a little further, because diesel props are, really optimized between 800 and 1200. But we're going to be using the same kind of motors, so now we need a 3-to-1 to stay in that ratio where both motor and prop performance are happy. If I had had on hand the motors that you will soon have, Ryan, this picture would have had one of your motors in it, because they really wanted us to do the entire system, but we weren't able to offer yet the continuous powers, so they went with for them even still rather wicked. This one is rated at 35 kilowatt continuous, so it was sold on Mastervolt, but we're the only guys that were doing the reduction drive system, so we were able to at least sell that and put it out there, and they have said that for their next motor, they want to go with us. So we're definitely going to be talking to you guys about that. A slight detail that I thought was really cool, the XXX in there for Amsterdam is our city shield has the XXX on it. I'm not sure if XXX as a sex thing came before or after, but it is suspicious. What you do see here, and this is what boat operators really, really love, all I need to ask them is what's your shaft diameter output, what kind of bolt hole pattern do you use for your standard flange. We just hook up straight to that, and we just put it right into the motor mounts that were there. So there's really, it's a plug-in. The boat this went into, I think I have it here. So this is one of the smaller canal boats, so that's why they can go for about the 35 kilowatt continuous range. They'll never even use that kind of power. It's more for reverse peak power. We had a couple different companies sit for our test demonstrations, and they're just completely wowed by this. I mean, everything's on a joystick. It's what we call hooster-proof. You can try and break it, but the wheel's so strong, and the amount of power the system can deliver for what you really need in the canals is really nicely overdimensioned. The next thing that we're looking forward to doing is to do it in this size boat. Now, there's a couple of hundred of these that are in Amsterdam in continuous operation. We see over 3 million tourists a year. Every tourist takes generally at least one, if not 2, boat rides in one of these. Before 2020, wants to be done with a little 2-stroke, and before 2023, everything in Amsterdam has to be emission-free. So between now and then, the time is right to be working on our products and refining our service so that we get to do all of those couple of boats, as far as I'm concerned. Well, what's the other thing besides the mechanical that I was talking about? It's the certification kind of side. We weren't allowed yet to come play with you all out on the road, a few Englishmen aside, because when we want to go for road legal testing, we need full EMI certification that complies with UN resolution. There would have theoretically been a chance that we use the certification that Aerodynamic had if they were around to allow us to use it, because these certifications are transferable if you have explicit written permission from the certification owner, certificate owner. Them being belly up and the curator not being empowered to do so, we have no way of, for instance, using that drive line. But we wanted both the Siemens and the HPVS offerings to be available for road legal use. So we partnered up with a company called Rebel, and you've seen maybe on the EVTV stuff come along. Let me just say that in in this emerging space, there's a few EV companies, and the tendency in Holland, or many here as well, is to think of each other as competitors, and to maybe try and do stuff all alone, and to maybe try and duke it up over this one often non-existing customer. I'm more of the mind that if we can team up and with a group of 3 or 4, or hopefully even 6 companies, show that we're all working towards a common goal, that we're linking up and sharing these experiences, not only will we get to a point where our service is in fact better and quicker, we leapfrog over that area where you're just suspicious, because if the idea is so good, why are you the only guy doing it? So I'd rather have a group of people. Anyways, long story short, this meant that they had already done this multi-UV certification thing with the DC and Soliton setup a couple of years ago, but they noticed the legs are out of that system, and their customers are requesting AC, they're requesting regen. So we said, well, let's team up together, let's have the highest power solution that we have right now, the Siemens DMOC, and let's take the broadest range solution that we have right now, the Curtis HPDF setup, and let's team up and put them through the certification process together. I have the hardware, they have the know-how. Together we scraped them just enough funds, barely to do it. We went to TUV Rhineland. What they do there is they stick your whole system in a box. You bring the batteries, you bring the system, you earth it to the metal table they provide for you, and then they aim cameras at it, and they can aim outside. I think I have it up. I'll show it, but first they test immunity, so they'll just beam everything at all gigahertz and megahertz, and I'm not technical enough to even tell you what they do, to see if they can notice RPM effects or any other kind of output effects on the motor, and then they turn around all their equipment and see if you're yourself causing any interference to possible stuff. And then the last thing they do that I didn't know about that they were going to test is they test if externally, for some reason, your 12-volt supply to the system is getting switched on and off by interference, what then happens? I didn't quite know they were going to do this, but I figured, oh, well, go ahead. But it uncovered my dirty little secret that inside that contactor box where the pre-charge relay is, I really underdimensioned the power resistor over the contactors because I was building this the night before we had to go, or finishing it up. The only one I could find was one out of an HPDS system meant for much lower voltages. And you switch something off once and on once, and you'll never have a problem. But if you mount it on a piece of wood in a metal box, you're switching it off and on 3 times a second. So we got the phone call saying, "Sir, your system's smoking." I'm like, oh, there goes 6,000 euros because we're never going to get through these testings. But actually, they were really nice about this. And, we've done all the immunity testing. This is just the last phase. We'll allow you to do the box open. And actually, one of the guys that worked at TUV Rhineland, he says, "I live around the corner. I think I have some old ceramic power resistors. Why don't we hook those up?" And we were able to actually finish the testing with that. And I will never undermention a pre-charge relay again. So, in my hand, I hold one of 2 completed UN regulation ECE R10-4 test reports concerning the compliance of an AC motor with controller. This one we're trying to make it so that it's good for the HPDS 50 through 76 lineup, everything with the Curtis 144 volt controller, and they've said that it should hold for that. So it's our, if you want to play at the poker table, you've got to ante up, and this is my ante. So really happy that came through. And that's about that on our product side. And the last little thing that I wanted to share with you is where we now going forward. We were here with the Jackson Blue Delta 3, and last year already, I presented this crazy idea that port to port from Calais to Dover. It's 38.5 kilometers, and with the right wind and the right tide, and our current performance figures with the new prop, we will be able to make that. And thanks to this man sitting over here, Mr. Algeda, who took the time out of his own sweetheart to write to the Guinness World Book of Records people and make sure that we now can say we can do an official attempt, guys. We've been, we have created a new category, fastest crossing of the English Channel by electric boat. And at our own description, they've set the bar at an hour. So if we do it within an hour, we'll be the first record holders, and then it's an open record for other people to go after. We really do hope it'll become maybe a yearly kind of thing where everybody comes out and plays, and other people beat my record, great, and I'll be able to go after that. Who knows what kind of fun we're going to have. Neptune Yachting, who did a report on us, and they're coming out with this magazine with the Silverback and the Delta in November. They went completely apeshit bonkers when they heard we're going to do this. It'll probably be early spring next year. They're going to come out with a boat and make sure that it's all properly documented. And that way, not only in England but in France, we'll be able to, show that we have this great new product, the Delta. And I've built it kind of as the Delta goes home. It's 1966 Wright Delta, HPVS AC35x2, 2 Curtis controllers, 30 kilowatt hours of Cal LiPo cells. We're going from Calais to the White Cliffs of Dover. We're bringing on an English heritage boat powered by an American electric drivetrain, Chinese lithium cells, a very small Dutch man bringing tidings of clean and cool electric power. We will be ready to serve the new generation.